Welcome to the Mixology Talk podcast. I'm Chris.
And I'm Julia, and we're the folks behind A Bar Above and Top Shelf Bar Supply.
So I help run A Bar Above and also help bars and restaurants with their beverage programs.
And I also help a little bit with A Bar Above. And I also nowadays spend most of my time running Top Shelf Bar Supply, where we make awesome bar tools designed and selected by this guy to be the best possible tools that you will have behind your bar. We got a whole lot of them back here. Today we had the good fortune to go to the San Francisco Fancy Food Show.
Fancy, because we're fancy people.
Me,
yeah.
We're wearing the badges still.
Still, I know, we're those people.
All day, all night, I'm never taking it off. That's not
Gonna sleep with this one. Like a small pillow.
Like a strangulation. Anyway, the Fancy Food Show is a show that happens in January every year. We've been one or two times in the past. It really is focused mostly on food, but they do have some beverage-focused items. They do have a sort of beverage, liquor, beer, wine sort of section, for lack of a better word. And so that's why we went. We wanted to see what's new. We wanted to see the trends that were sort of taking place in the industry. This is a little bit more consumer-facing. The clients of this show are restaurants, shops, a lot of people.
Supermarkets, probably.
Yeah, that sort of thing. Specialty supermarkets, that kind of thing. So these are not typically your hospitality kind of displays, but I still think there's some really interesting stuff there, and I would like to tell you about it.
Yeah, we actually found quite a few things. Like Julia said, we've been there a couple times. So there's typically always like a bitters company or a mixer company, somebody that does like syrups and stuff like that. But we found quite a few different things in there this year. Some really exciting stuff too.
And I think compared to past years, it's interesting to see the trends change. And I'll definitely tell you more about that soon.
Yeah, but I had one major takeaway from this excursion into the Fancy Food Show. And I mean that completely as a pun and every intention behind it.
I
found the shirt that I want to be buried in. I know, strong words, but check it out. Look at that, Kikkoman soy sauce t-shirt. It was...
You have a soy sauce problem.
I do. It's so delicious.
You realize it's not, soy sauce is not a drinking vinegar. It's not...
So the workers, the people that were manning the booths, they had these Kikkoman t-shirts on, and when I saw it, my eyes lit up. I went absolutely kind of crazy.
He came to a screeching halt.
I was like total fanboy. I was like, I didn't even know it existed. You know, I've seen the sriracha shirts out, and I'm like, those are cool.
Well, you don't have a sriracha problem. You have a soy sauce problem.
I mean, come on, look at this. Every time I wear this, I'm going to feel like an Asian superhero. Kikkoman! I'm so excited about this shirt. Yeah, biggest takeaway, pun intended.
I have no words. I have nothing to say about it.
So that being said.
Anyway, we also got a chance to try a lot of amazing products. Actually, I should point out, this is what we're drinking right now.
Yep.
This is actually just sparkling water and ginger beer. This is Top Hat Provisions. They're a San Francisco brand. I think we've had their stuff before.
I think so, yeah.
It is yummy. It is spicy.
So spicy. Yeah.
But it is good stuff. So what do you say we tell you a little bit about what we found?
Besides the t-shirt, because I'm going to tell you more about it.
So the first key trend that I wanted to report back on is sort of the state of, I don't know what to call them, pre-made cocktail mixes, for lack of a better word. The last time I went to the show was admittedly 2 years ago, not last year. But the thing that is really interesting to me is that 2 years ago, these were everywhere. There must have been a dozen of these brands who are making, for lack of a better word, pre-mixed cocktails. Unmixed cocktails. Basically, you just add your booze. It's a Cosmo mix. It's a usually there's a margarita mix. There's always a Bloody Mary, a Paloma.
Yeah.
There was tons and tons of these everywhere. This year there was only maybe a handful.
Yeah, so there weren't that many.
It definitely seemed like the number was dropping. However, there's still quite a few out there.
Yeah.
I will say, I think one thing that I'm very pleased to see is it seems like the quality is definitely going up.
Yeah.
You're not seeing the sort of fakey flavors anymore. You're not seeing like appletini. You're seeing a Cosmo, you're seeing a Paloma, you're seeing real cocktails. I think that's good. I think what that tells me is that consumers are starting to ask for real cocktails. I'm being unfair. An appletini is a real cocktail. Whatever you drink is a real cocktail. Drink what you like.
Right.
But more of these sort of traditional, I should say, cocktail recipes.
One of the ones that kind of caught my eye, sorry to butt in, but was the ice one. It was pre-made cocktail in ice. And it was really clever how they marketed it. It's basically you freeze the ice cube and then you shake it with your booze.
Right.
Which was really kind of cool.
And the result
a different
is
approach.
A finished cocktail.
Right. Chilled down, diluted, the whole 9 yards. But yeah, I thought that was super interesting, and the packaging was great.
Yeah, that's true. They're very much so. So that's definitely, I think, the first thing I wanted to say is, while there were fewer of them this time, I think the quality is a little bit better. I don't think they're going anywhere. I mean, if anything, I see more and more of them in the marketplace. I get lots of emails from PR companies telling me about new products all the time.
Yeah.
And this corner of the market is not going away. But I think it's good. I think some consumers are going to get excited about craft cocktails and buy the cocktail shaker and buy the Hawthorne strainer and buy the liquor and buy the amazing books and they're going to go crazy and they're going to probably not have a bar quite like this.
Right.
But some people are going to do that and most people aren't. And I think that by having these pre-mixed, sort of pre-made cocktails, just add booze, we can really start to sort of raise the caliber of what a cocktail can be in your average Joe's house.
Yeah.
And I think that's just a good thing.
Yeah, and I think a lot of bartenders have actually gone into this market and crafted really great syrups and pre-made mixers. So I think the quality is starting to really increase, and I think people are starting to pay attention. Obviously, as Julie mentioned in the intro, this isn't for bar programs, but it's kind of like a gateway drug for consumers to get into craft cocktails, right? Like, first one's free, here you go.
Just add vodka.
Right, exactly. Super easy. But I think it's all good. I think it brings more people and more attention to what we're doing. And hopefully that allows us to have more fun and make more money behind the bar too.
Very true.
So the other thing that really caught my eye, and technically they're mixers, but this whole tonic craze that's really kind of taken a whole new life.
This really surprised me.
Yeah, and we all know it's very popular. I know in Spain this is like their number one thing is to dress up gin and tonics and get specific on their tonics and match it to the gin, and like it's a whole production. So I'm not surprised to see more of that here in the United States. But the lineup was... I've never seen anything like it before. It was really creative.
I mean, I don't remember, but I want to say Franklin & Sons is they were from the UK. They're almost in the US from what he told me. But the thing was, he had a dozen flavors?
Easily, yeah.
I mean, this one is rhubarb tonic water with hibiscus.
Right, and if you can't see it, it's pink.
It's pink.
It's a pink tonic. And it's delicious.
And that's a gutsy flavor combination.
Yeah,
it's not like raspberry. I think it's really interesting that the tonics. First of all, there's a bunch of them.
Yeah, they probably had a dozen different flavors.
So many different brands as well. And secondly, the brands that we saw were being really gutsy with the flavors that they were offering. I think they were really interesting.
Yeah, absolutely. They were messing around with really obscure ingredients, incorporating cubeb peppers into one of them, which was delicious. And they really stood out. And I think there was quite a few of these tonic companies.
Yep.
And soda companies out there.
Yeah, I mean, this one is actually apple cider vinegar tonic, which is kind of interesting. It kind of crosses over into shrubs.
Right.
And this is the one that really blew me away. If you haven't guessed already by the color, it's turmeric. Terveda sparkling turmeric tonic with wild honey and matcha.
Right. That's crazy.
What? And I'll tell you, it is delicious. It is weird. Very savory, but I think very interesting. Now, I don't see your customers rolling up to your bar and being like, get me some of that turmeric tonic. But I still think that it's fantastic that we're starting to see weird flavor combinations starting to make its way to the public. These are on your specialty grocery shelves, and your consumers are seeing them. But I think it's just really cool to me that these are flavored tonics, not just flavored sodas, which is what we've seen in past years. I've never seen so many interesting tonics on the market, and frankly, they taste pretty good.
Yeah, they're pretty tasty.
They're good.
And once again, that gateway drug into craft cocktails. I mean, nothing's better than getting a bottle, opening it up, pouring it over ice, adding some booze, and that's it.
And you're done.
Yeah.
And a GNT is a perfect cocktail for that.
Absolutely. So I think, these are really fun. And I look forward to trying a lot of these. I didn't try the turmeric yet, but I really hope
it's true.
I'm going to soon. So.
I took it for myself. I didn't share. Next up, and probably no surprise to anybody ever, we saw quite a few different kinds of, I don't know what to call it, flavored waters, no-calorie flavored waters. This is, I like to pronounce it Le Clé.
I'm sure everybody knows exactly what we're talking about.
But obviously, it's, I think this is the grapefruit flavor or something.
Right, pamplemousse, yeah.
Everybody knows about LaCroix. I think that they've made a huge impact on the market, and if you have gone down that aisle of your supermarket recently, you've probably seen lots of new brands, especially store brands,
right.
White label, that sort of thing. This one is Waterloo Sparkling Water Black Cherry. It was also good, but again, it's not something you're probably going to put in a cocktail. In fact,
it's probably terribly expensive to do that, honestly.
Yeah,
I mean, they're not cheap. I know when we pick up some of these at the store, they are a little bit cost prohibitive.
A little on
for
the
a bottle
pricey
program.
side, yeah. But I will say, with the splash we're seeing in the marketplace, I wouldn't be surprised if you're starting to see people asking about this as an option on your menu. Not necessarily a cocktail, but if somebody says
possible
hey,
ingredient or non-alcohol ingredient,
right?
Yeah.
Or they might start asking for flavored sparkling waters, which is something that is kind of in the no ABV movement side of things. But again, people are thinking more creatively about the non-alcoholic drinks that they are drinking. These are going to be a little bit hard to tackle from a cocktail perspective since they're the whole 0-calorie thing. But if you can let that go, you can probably have some fun with it. You can do spa waters, you can do your infused waters, these sorts of things. I think there's a lot of places you can go with that. Again, probably not something to use in cocktails, although I'd be up for playing with it.
Yep, I think that might happen.
Yeah, for science.
So another kind of product that we saw a lot of at the Fancy Food Show were shrubs.
But what's interesting is very few people called them shrubs.
Yeah, they coined them drinking vinegars, which is technically true.
It's true. It's just interesting to me because honestly, I think a shrub has a little bit of that like je ne sais quoi, like ooh, I don't know what that is.
I don't even know what that means.
Drinking vinegar is like vinegar. I'm not gonna drink that. So I don't know. I just thought it was weird.
Yeah.
But you've seen this one before because it's a tonic and a vinegar. I decided to bring it up again. So again, a drinking vinegar. It's spicy. It's intense again. But we saw quite a few of these.
Right.
Of all different flavor profiles, of all different varieties.
Yeah, there was a Japanese company that was making a yuzu shrub, which was super tasty.
That was really good.
And they were getting very creative with their flavors. And yeah, this was probably one of 10 different booths that were making drinking vinegars.
Yeah, it was really interesting. And again, I'm just really pleased to see this coming and getting more play in front of consumers. I think drinking vinegars 3 or 4 years ago were just like a weird thing bartenders did, especially if you have one of those mustaches. But it's getting more normalized, I think, especially with the sort of health movements that we see. I think a lot of people for a long time have talked about apple cider vinegar as sort of a health, I don't know what to call it, like a
cure-all or remedy.
Yeah. So I'm not terribly surprised, but anyway, I think it's, again, a really interesting thing to see that getting a little bit more normalized. The other, I'm kind of cheating by putting this in the same category. The other thing that we saw, not a huge amount of, but we did see was brines. We saw 2 different companies offering brines.
Pickle brine, yeah.
One was offering pickle brine, which I think is just a no-brainer with the pickleback the way it is nowadays. Offering that as a standalone product just makes a ton of sense. I never ever saw myself as the kind of person to take a shot or a taste of pickle brine, but I gave it a taste and it was good. It was really good.
You know, I gotta say, the picklebacks, they get it. Everybody talks about it or talks trash about them. They're actually pretty good. I had one a couple years ago, and I was like, you gotta be kidding me. Pickle juice and like whiskey, it was delicious.
I mean,
to each their own. I loved it. I thought it was great.
Drink what you like. That's what I... Hashtag
that feels like judgment. That totally feels like judgment.
It's me. I'm actively not judging. Drink what you like. But the other thing I want to point out was actually the very first thing we tried in the whole show. And it was this crazy lineup of savory brines. He called them brines.
Right.
I don't know what else to call them. I wish I could remember the flavors, but they were wild. Jalapeno and beet. Some of them were completely savory.
Yeah.
I don't remember all the flavors.
A lot of flavors, yeah.
And unfortunately, we did not get a sample of this one. We just had a chance to taste it. But they were like vegetable-based drinking brines. Very vegetal, very, very savory.
Right.
I could see that working in a savory style of cocktail like a Bloody Mary or something like that. It's not something that I would immediately...
Gourmet picklebacks.
I'm
just saying, a beet horseradish pickleback.
Beet horseradish, that was one of them. Yeah. So these weird flavors, but again, I love it. I think it's gutsy. I think it's interesting. I think that drinks have been relegated to sweet for far too long. And I'm really excited to see some of this savory stuff coming into play. So, this was my favorite product in the entire show.
She's not kidding.
It's so sketchy looking. I love that.
Yeah, so it's in a plastic, it's a lot of brown stuff in a plastic bag. That's literally what we were given as a sample.
Oh, it's kind of sticky. Oh, I think the bag has a hole in it.
Oh, God.
Oh, it totally does. Oh, yeah.
So we got a sketchy bag with a hole in it filled with brown, sticky, powdery stuff.
Yeah, so in case you're not excited about it yet, this is actually dehydrated powdered apple.
And it's not just like dried apple. It's actually dried apple that's like ground so fine that it basically is going to dissolve.
It is truly a powder.
Yeah.
And it's not like Jolly Rancher apple. It's like actual apples.
Yeah, it was pretty crazy.
This guy, like, we were cruising right by him. I didn't even notice him. And he just leans over and he goes, "What's a bar above?" I was like, "Oh, hi."
And we talk about cocktails. Like, oh, our product gets thrown in the cocktails all the time. And I look at it and there's like cauliflower and lentil and broccoli.
And we're like, sure they
buddy.
do. And then he coerced me with like an apple chocolate muffin, which was delicious.
Yeah.
And then he gave me a taste. This stuff is apple. It's delicious. It melts on your tongue. And I just think we're definitely going to be playing with it. I think it's going to be...
I'm super excited about this one.
I need to wash my hand. We're going to put it in a better bag. They obviously were not prepared to be giving out samples. I told him what we do, and I asked him if he had any samples that we could take home. Oh, no. Oh, sorry. I'm making a huge mess. I will stop playing with my plastic bag of ground up apples. But they weren't really prepared with samples for people to take home, but I asked if they had any that we could take because I want to, Chris talked about this is something that we're going to experiment with infusions.
Imagine an instant apple infusion. That actually tastes like apple.
Right? And real apple, not Jolly Rancher apple. I'm super against Jolly Rancher apple, for the record. You could also maybe see it as like a rim.
Cocktail rim, absolutely.
Cocktail rim or something like that. And so we're going to play with this a little bit. And then after this, we're going to play with their beet flavor.
Yeah, they have a beet.
I want to play with sweet potato because I think that could be crazy. They had all kinds of flavors. So anyway, in case you didn't notice.
I hope they have avocado kale. I can make a California cocktail.
Oh my gosh, that would be terrible.
Little microgreens on top.
I hope they have a bacon one because you could do a bacon.
Oh, that would be so good.
Fat wash bacon rim with like an avocado kale cocktail.
Ooh, it's like, now we're talking. Yeah. Like a deconstructed BLT.
With clarified tomato juice. BLT.
Done.
BLT cocktail.
Genius.
So I'm pretty jazzed about this. This was truly unique, something I had never seen before, and I think something that we're excited to play with.
So I know we mentioned this earlier, but the ice cubes that we saw is actually by a really cool company. The product design was really great. It's a company called Urban Lou's.
Named after their grandfathers.
Who were cocktailians of their day, if you will.
Apparently so.
But yeah, they have a bunch of different flavors. I think they had like a Negroni. A couple of the ones I think they were probably made up names. But yeah, they were really interesting, really fun looking ice cubes.
Right. So what was interesting about these that I thought was unique was you buy them off the shelf, like shelf stable in liquid form. You put them in your own freezer. Duh. Brilliant.
Right.
And then obviously freeze them solid. And then you can either just place it in a drink with some sparkling water and sort of let it melt, or you can actually put it in a cocktail shaker with your booze, shake it up, and just dirty pour the whole thing in your drink, and you got your cocktail. Again, I just think it's a really interesting take on the pre-mixed cocktail idea, kind of building the ice into it. It adds sort of a show a little bit.
A little bit. It makes you feel a little bit like a bartender.
Yep.
You know, like you throw two ingredients in, shake, because everybody likes to shake a drink.
Of course.
And then at the end you have this really cool little cocktail.
I thought it was really interesting. I will admit, I don't think it's going to make sense in a professional setting. I don't see that. No. This is going to be very much a home option, but it's creative, it's different, it's something I'd never seen before.
And it's something that we can play with in the bar and restaurant to make these really cool infused ice cubes to add to our cocktail programs, you know, to really change up the flavor profiles over time, really have a lot of fun with it. So as a creative idea, that's a really cool one.
I would agree with that. So the last product that really caught my eye, or should I say taste buds, is called fairy dust. And I don't know, that really didn't catch my eye, so to speak, because it sounds kind of corny. Sorry, guys. But it was absinthe syrup. It
was a delicious, non-alcoholic absinthe syrup.
I would have killed for this a year ago, because if you recall, I was pregnant most of last year. And I love absinthe. Oh my gosh, I was just like sniffing your NyQuil. I missed, not really. But it was delicious. Now these guys, nickel and dime syrups, they also make Caged Heat, which is a product we've actually talked about on the blog before.
I believe so,
a million years ago. They just had a successful Kickstarter was it for just this syrup, or was it for the whole
syrup
line?
Yeah.
We asked if they had any samples to take home, and she looked at me and said that they had been up till 2 a.m. the night before making the bottle that we were drinking then, and that was it. So I said, okay, fair enough.
Cool. That's cool.
But I promised to bother them soon for hopefully a sample that we can bring back and play with. But I have never seen that before. It was anise, fennel,
wormwood.
And wormwood, thank you. It was delicious. They had really recreated the sort of taste profile of absinthe in a syrup form, and I think that's fascinating.
Yeah, and I think this one particular syrup could really help non-alcoholic beverage programs. I mean,
absolutely.
It has a complex flavor, it lingers, and it's beautiful. I don't think
it doesn't rely on sweetness for flavor, which is a huge problem.
It didn't luge like a traditional absinthe did, but
we didn't ask. I assume.
Actually, yeah, that's a good point. We didn't ask, but
I assume it wouldn't, but we didn't ask.
Yeah, but yeah, it was super good. And we tried it, and I loved it as well. I thought it was probably the best product that I tasted in the show for sure.
It was
can't compete with the T-shirt, the Kikkoman T-shirt.
I think they know.
But it was pretty good.
I think they know which T-shirt you're referring to. The one that you keep mentioning.
This one right here. Yeah. Awesome.
That one.
But very delicious.
At least you're not wearing it.
I wanted to. I really wanted to.
I didn't
you might see it in many podcast episodes from here on out.
You will not see it in any podcast episodes ever. This is the last of the T-shirt that you will see. Unless you run into Chris in the wild, because I'm not sure he will ever take it off.
I will probably, be wearing it all the time. I might just get a Kikkoman tattoo. Yeah! It's that good.
So I hope you enjoyed our little recap of the fancy food show in San Francisco. We spent our day, well, I'll be honest with you. The fancy food show has some beverage stuff, but most of it is chocolate and cheese and charcuterie.
Yeah,
the three
it was ridiculous.
That are super delicious.
Yeah, I think we had more charcuterie than we could shake a duck rillette at.
I don't recommend shaking a duckriette at anything. But that being said, we had an amazing time. I hope that this has been interesting. I hope that these are the trends that the consumers are starting to embrace. Because I think as a bar program, would you put that shirt away?
Oh, man.
I think that the more consumers can really open their minds to crazy things like turmeric tonic and
Cubeb pepper tonics and shrubs and stuff.
Pre-made cocktail ice cubes and all of these crazy flavor profiles. The more people welcome it on their grocery store shelves, the more they're going to ask for it in their bars. And that's where we come in. And I think that I think this is really exciting to see all this crazy stuff happening. And I'm looking forward to seeing next year.
Yeah, I think so. And I think this just really kind of reiterates the fact that the craft movement is still happening. It's becoming more widespread, and it's just going to make things that much better in the coming years.
And the quality is definitely going up across the board. I think consumers are realizing that they don't like the taste of sort of
synthetic
flavors. Everywhere we went were badges illustrating that certain brands were all natural ingredients, non-GMO, vegan, gluten-free, these sorts of things. These badges are everywhere because consumers care. And so that's going to be really exciting to kind of see that happening. So you can catch the show notes for this episode at mixologytalk.com/144.
And if you're listening to the podcast, you might be able to see the t-shirt that I keep mentioning.
The t-shirt will never appear again. We're done.
It's that good.
It's just soy sauce. I don't understand.
Oh no, just soy sauce. All right.
I hope you've enjoyed this episode. I can't believe you've never made a soy sauce cocktail if you love it this much.
Oh, that's a good idea.
How have you never thought of that?
That's cool. All right, soy sauce cocktail coming up in the future.
I'm gonna hold him to that.
Nope.
Meanwhile, let me know what you're seeing in your market. Are you seeing these things? I would love to hear about it. Let us know in the comments, or of course, you can always shoot us an email at cheers@mixologytalk.com. Catch you next time.
Cheers, everyone.
Cheers.
There's a guy.
I told you it's raining, right?
Yeah. Welcome to the Mixology Pod.
See?
That's in my eye. Oh god, it's so spicy in my eye. Oh.
That's what you get for making.
Better than eye drops. Okay, let's do this.
Oh, there's a bit of apple in my drink.